The people of Okpachi were known for their deep-rooted traditions and preserving their cultural heritage. Among these customs, one stood out prominently: the bride price. In Okpachi, the bride price was more than a mere transaction. It was a grand affair. When the suitor sought a maiden's hand in marriage, negotiations would commence. The elders would gather and discuss the terms. In Okpachi, most parents preferred the bride price over their daughter's happiness. Their daughters were their most prized possessions. Their beauty, intelligence, and grace were renowned far beyond the village borders. Suitors would arrive from neighboring villages accompanied by their families, their eyes filled with longing, their pockets laden with gifts. The elders of Okpachi would cross-check the list carefully to make sure every item has been presented. If any item was found missing, the elders would ask the groom to provide it or return back to his village without the bride. Some of the grooms would plead, but the elders and parents in Okpachi would remain adamant. Some of the poorest suitors came with just palm wine and bride price. Some came with little items and bride price. Some came with just the bride price and they were rejected. This made most suitors very sad. Some of the poor young men started cutting off their relationship with the beautiful maidens of Okpachi. They would say to the maidens,
"I can't kill myself. I have done everything. I stole everything I had, but it was not enough. I don't know why the bride price in your village is so expensive. Maybe in the next life, you will be mine."
The maidens of Okpachi would cry. Some maidens were fortunate enough to have rich suitors who came to the village and were able to pay off everything on the list. Some maidens who could not find rich suitors confronted their parents.
"Papa, Mama, you should allow me to marry who I love. Do you want me to grow old in this village? Do you want me to kill myself? Papa, Benga sold everything he had. He does not have any money again. See what he is giving to you. But don't you want my happiness?"
Patience, my child. Tradition must be upheld. There is nothing I can do. This is our tradition, passed on to us by our forefathers.
The maidens of Okpachi cried, but there was nothing they could do. But this was not the case of Nneka. Nneka was the chief's daughter, and she was in love with a poor boy named Femi, and Femi was ready to do whatever it takes to end up with Nneka. Femi was ready to do anything just to end up with Nneka, so he sold his land and his only bicycle. He also went to the village market and he sold so many things. Eventually, Femi made enough money and he was able to buy everything on the list, and he submitted it to Nneka's family. Nneka's family were so happy. They all smiled and hailed him. They called him strong man. The Umuada all gathered. They ate and rejoiced. The Umunna also gathered. They ate and celebrated. Eventually, they handed Nneka over to Femi. Femi's face was filled with so much joy, but deep down, he was sad. He had sold everything he had just to marry Nneka. They had to walk to his village that night. They both walked for several hours and eventually, they got to Femi's hut. The next morning, Femi woke up really angry. He quickly dressed up and left the house. Later that evening, he returned.
"Nneka, what is this rubbish? Why are you giving me yam to eat?
This is the only thing I could find in your kitchen."
Go ahead and insult me. Your wicked father and your wicked village people are the reason why I don't have any other thing in that kitchen. They collected all my money and you stood there smiling. You did nothing. Nneka, you are wicked."
That was how Femi became a very angry and bitter man, always shouting at Nneka. There was no love in their home. Nneka got fed up, and one evening she tried to run away, but Femi chased her.
"Nneka, come back here. You are my property. You belong to me. Come back here."
Femi caught Nneka. He beat her up mercilessly and broke one of her legs. He left her there, and the following morning, he returned and dressed the leg. After After dressing the leg, he took her home and warned her.
Don't ever try to run away from me again, else I will do worse to you.
Nneka cried, but there was nothing she could do. Even with the broken leg, Femi kept sending her to the market every day. And after returning from the market, she would cook for him, and Femi would complain about the food. Whenever Nneka tries to sit down and rest, Femi would move close to her and insult her. He would call her a lazy woman. This continued for a very long time, and Femi kept maltreating Nneka. She started losing a lot of weight, but Femi did not care. He continued sending her to the marketplace and to the stream every day. One day, Femi sent Nneka to the main market to buy vegetables, and someone from Okpachi village noticed her. The young lady quickly ran back to Okpachi village, and the news spread all over Okpachi village. The maidens gossiped. They all wondered what could have happened to Nneka. The women whispered, and the men gathered. They deliberated and sought for answers. Some of the jealous maidens in the village who hated Nneka had different opinions.
I wonder what could have happened to her tiny leg.
That ugly leg. I don't pity her one bit.
That stupid girl. She's always feeling like she's better than all of us in this village just because her father is a chief. I wish I can go to that village and laugh at her.
Nneka's parents cried. They wondered what could have happened to Nneka's leg. Nneka's father met with some of the elders and they deliberated. Eventually, two of the elders decided to accompany Nneka's father to Femi's village so they could find out what happened. And so they journeyed to Femi's village. But when they got there, it was something else. Nneka's leg was not just broken, her hand was also broken. Femi had beaten up Nneka mercilessly the previous night, and now she had a broken leg and a broken hand. Nneka's father and the elders were so shocked as Nneka explained everything Femi had done to her.
No, this is unacceptable. He did this to you. Where is he now? Where is that boy?
And Femi showed up unexpectedly and he started insulting Nneka's father and the elders.
Femi, you? I remember when you came to my house, begging to marry my daughter. Now look at what you have turned her into. Nneka, let's go. You are crazy. She is not going anywhere. I spent my entire life savings just to marry her. You can't take her just like that. Pay me my money before you take her. Pay me everything I spent. Young man, according to our culture, we will return only the bride price, not the items on the list.
But Femi was adamant. He insisted that he wanted the entire items and everything he spent. So Nneka's father and the elders journeyed back to Okpachi village. When they got to the village, they had a meeting with the king's men, and they all planned to return back the items to Femi. That night, Nneka's parents could not sleep. Nneka, on the other hand, slept outside. Femi locked her out in the cold rain. Eventually, Nneka's family were able to arrange the entire items and they journeyed back to Femi's village. They got there and they saw Nneka shivering. They quickly dressed her up and put her on a horse, and they delivered all the items to Femi. Together, they headed back to Okpachi village. Femi, on the other hand, received all the items and the entire money he spent, but he was not happy. He laid there in his hut, crying and regretting his actions. Femi started going out to drink, and the young men in his village would laugh at him. They would call him woman beater, wicked man. The young maidens in his village would also laugh at him. They would call him all sorts of names. This made Femi very shy. One night, Femi packed his bags and ran away from the village. And that was the last time anybody ever heard from Femi. Meanwhile, in Okpachi village, they took care of Nneka very well. Her hand and leg eventually became better. The elders revised their customs, lowering the bride price to a token. The maidens heard the news and they all danced and rejoiced. The news spread like wildfire and suitors started trooping to the village of Okpachi, making their intentions known to the ladies.